Taiwan, Philip Brossard with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's representative to APEC has met U.S. President Joe Biden during a dialogue with world leaders, marking a rare interaction between a Taiwanese official and a sitting U.S. president. Harel Hughes reports from Peru.
U.S. President Joe Biden has had a, quote, lively conversation with Taiwan's representative Lin Xinyi at the APEC Leaders Summit here in Peru, according to Taiwan's foreign ministry. Photographed shaking hands during informal dialogue on Friday afternoon, Lin reportedly spoke with Biden about Taiwan-U.S. ties and thanked the U.S. president for promoting relations between the two countries during his term, even inviting Biden to visit Taiwan in the future. It's an invitation Biden is unlikely to accept as his government tries to steady ties with China. Beijing protests any official interactions with Taiwan as it seeks to isolate Taipei diplomatically. Former U.S. presidents have visited Taiwan before. Jimmy Carter, the president who shifted recognition from Taiwan to China in '79, visited in 1999. And Bill Clinton visited in 2005. While brief, Biden and Lin's meeting is significant, marking a rare exchange between Taiwan and a sitting U.S. president. Scott Wong, Reese Ayers, and Harel Hughes in Lima, Peru for TaiwanPlus.
World leaders have been echoing a key message throughout this year's Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum. They say change is coming and the world's economies need to be ready. Reese Ayers reports from Peru.
A warm welcome in Lima, Peru, as world leaders gather for the annual Asia-Pacific Economic Forum, bringing together some of the most powerful economies in the world. But one theme has rung clear throughout the summit, as world leaders anticipate major changes in relations moving forward.
We've now reached a moment of significant political change, and this is likely to be my last trilateral meeting with this important group, but I'm proud to have helped be one of the parts of building this partnership.
The 21 member states of APEC account for nearly 40% of the global population and over 60% of the world's GDP. This is its first global summit since Donald Trump's sweeping victory in the US election. He has pledged sharp policy shifts from climate change to trade, prompting responses from world leaders at the forum.
Little secret, there is no American administration that is automatically easy for a Canadian government. They take a very robust look at their own interests, and Canada adjusts.
Facing steep tariffs from the incoming Trump administration, Chinese President Xi Jinping released a written statement warning about the effects on the global economy, read out by the country's commerce minister.
世界进入了新的动荡变革期，单边主义、保护主义蔓延，世界经济碎片化加剧，经济全球化遭遇逆流，面临逆水行舟、不进则退的严峻考验。亚太经济何去何从，需要我们做出抉择。
There's an air of uncertainty hanging over the conversations here at the summit as policies change after a record-breaking year for elections, which saw incumbents defeated around the world. And as Joe Biden and Xi Jinping prepare to meet on the final day of the summit, there's much anticipation about how the world's two biggest economies will navigate this changing landscape moving forwards. Scott Huang, Harel Hughes, and Reese Ayers in Lima, Peru for TaiwanPlus.
Chipmaking giant TSMC is to get $6.6 billion in subsidies from the U.S. government to help build its Arizona plant project. The first of these Taiwanese firm's 3 planned plants in Arizona could be operational early next year. The U.S. also plans loans of up to $5 billion to boost the project, which aims to bring cutting-edge semiconductor production back to the country. The decision comes before President-elect Donald Trump takes office in January. Trump has previously criticized the policy to subsidize foreign chip makers in the U.S., describing it as so bad. The son of jailed Chinese official Xilai has arrived in Taiwan. Reports say Bo Guagua plans to marry a Taiwanese woman. However, the government says it hasn't received any of the paperwork Bo would need to marry as a Chinese citizen in Taiwan. John Van Trieste reports.
According to this nurse, a Taiwanese clinic has just had a very unique patient visit for a health checkup. Bo Guagua is the son of Bo Xilai and Gu Kailai, the Chinese power couple whose downfall made global headlines just over a decade ago. Both are now serving life sentences. The elder Bo wants a senior Communist Party figure for corruption, and Gu Kailai for the murder of a British businessman. For Bo Guagua, who was studying abroad at the time, the scandal was the start of a life in exile, a life that's now brought him to Taiwan. Though there's no confirmation, reports suggest he's come to marry a Taiwanese woman, the daughter of a prominent Yilan County family. It's something that could explain the health checkup, a requirement in Taiwan for people seeking to stay longer term. What is known is that despite holding a British passport, Bo has come to Taiwan as a Chinese citizen, something that requires special permission due to China's claims over Taiwan. If he is here to get married, the question becomes which nationality he'll exercise on the paperwork. Chinese citizens need special permission to do that too. So far, the body that grants such permission, the Straits Exchange Foundation, says it hasn't gotten any application from Bo, and they say his celebrity status won't matter if they do.
目前又还没有收到任何申请。那我刚才提过，我们都按照我们的法律，不会有特殊的待遇，那就是公平的对待每个人。
The foundation also says it won't interfere in Bo's case either, should he choose to apply for marriage as a Chinese citizen.
那我们基本上台湾是一个法治的社会。 就也是个自由开放的社会，我们对人的尊重，其实基本上是台湾存在的一个很重要价值。所以我刚才表达说，政府基本上不会介入到任何个人的这个情感选择。
Meanwhile, for national security bodies, Bo's background is attracting notice. The National Security Bureau says it has no comment. But just over a decade after the elder Bo's fall from power, the family story could be getting a new chapter, written in Taiwan. Delphine Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
China has freed a Taiwanese boat and captain it seized for illegal fishing in July. That's after months of negotiations led by a mix of current and former officials and a private association that organizes exchanges with China. The boat arrived back in Taiwan's Penghu Islands early Saturday. China released the captain and the boat, called the Dajinman 88, after a fine of around $29,000 was paid off. China released the vessel's 4 other crew members back in August. Small-scale farmers around the world are facing the harsh impacts of climate change. As world leaders come together for COP29, the UN's annual climate summit, the topic of climate finance is promising relief to small, vulnerable farmers. Jeremy Olivier reports.
Food security is on the line at the UN Climate Conference this year. Small-scale farmers around the world are facing the threat of a rapidly changing climate. In Kyrgyzstan, livestock farming has been a traditional way of life for generations. Close to 8 million cattle, goats, and sheep roam the country, outnumbering the human population. This year, farmers are worried about the impact of climate change on their herds. They find that the weather, which followed known patterns for generations, is becoming harder to predict. That's making it tough to raise their animals.
Кичинекей кезимде климаттар башкача болчу да, күн жылуу, мезгил менен болчу да, мезгилдер жайында жайдай, кышында кыштай болуп өтчү. Азыркы учурда болсо климаттар бат эле кургакчылык болуп кетет күн тийип.
World leaders are gathering at COP29, the UN's annual climate conference hosted this year in Azerbaijan. Financing for climate adaptation is high up on the agenda. New financial targets need to be set to help countries adapt to climate change.
At COP29, the new collective quantitative goal is under discussion. This is essentially a negotiation on how much money richer countries should contribute to support developing countries deal with climate change.
Organizations like the International Fund for Agricultural Development are calling on countries to prioritize the needs of small-scale farmers. Small farms produce 35% of the world's food, but receive less than 1% of climate finance.
The world's 500 million small farms are the backbone of our global food systems. They are the ones that are bearing the brunt of climate change. They're the most vulnerable and the least prepared. Investing in them is a prerequisite if we want to keep global food security and stability.
Many countries in the developing world are the ones most impacted by climate change. Climate funds, like those received by Laotian rice grower Xilai, can be invested to boost production.
ได้หลายกว่าปกติคือตัวอย่างพันธุ์มาเฮกตาร์หนึ่งเขาจะได้ประมาณ2 ต้นปลายเดี๋ยวนี้ก็หลังจากเขาได้น้ำนี่มีน้ำใส่สะดวกสบายก็ต้นหนึ่งต่ำสุดก็ได้ 4.5
Farmers in Laos and Kyrgyzstan are some of the many facing the harsh reality climate change brings. As COP29 approaches the end of its first week, countries are waiting on leaders to come together to finance a more food-secure world. Kama Xu, Jeffrey Chen, and Jeremy Olivier for TaiwanPlus.
Farmers in southern Taiwan's Pingdong County are finding it extra difficult to plant red beans this season. An invasive species is eating up all the plants before they can even grow big. Sandy Chi went to the farmlands to find out what's going on.
It's raining green iguanas here in Pingdong in southern Taiwan. But this isn't a sign of thriving local wildlife. Rather, it's the result of an invasive species taking root and spreading in the area. And as they multiply, they're causing serious damage to local crops, especially the local red beans. The iguanas are so bold, they even feed in broad daylight.
这你咧死者也这食了真严重啊，损失嘛真严重，因为损失种落到收成，这一轮地收诶头2万块，啊，真好食的，真连成本都无，上严重像真咱倒食一区，倒食半区较低啊。
Red bean planting season started in October, and within just a few weeks, the green iguanas chewed through local fields, devastating the farmers' young tender crops. Some farmers set up nets around their plants to protect them.
我们每天都来看，围网子抓小只的，大只的很有力，抓不起来。
The method isn't very effective. Setting up nets is time-consuming and pricey.
我们不是渔民，我们每天再去买渔网，不是来捞鱼哦，不是来捕鱼哦，我们来抓绿鬣蜥。慢慢我们的农田就会被这些外来的物种给入侵啊，再也没有农人愿意去从事生产，还没到成熟的红豆的时候就已经被绿鬣蜥吃掉了。那我花了1次的钱、2次的钱、3次的钱，我为什么要种？我就改行了嘛，我来卖渔网，我还赚的比红豆还多。
哦，真干那好这迄落安糟蹋甲会死呢？我安一区哦，3工无去，甲食一半呢。我用网啊网着我杀个杀我死啊
！Many farmers have turned to the area's councillor, Hong Zhongqi, for help. This is when the local government can step in to help arrange hunters to remove the iguanas.
到目前为止啊，大概我们接获通报的农民数大概超过100人。
To remove the green iguanas, hunters head out during the night when they're easier to capture. They use slingshots and snake tongues to capture as many as they can. Pingdong County is seeing an ever-growing population of iguanas, with more removed each year. The number of removals increased from 4,000 to over 34,000 in recent years. With such a large population of green iguanas in Pingdong and the red bean planting season underway, removing the lizards isn't just about controlling an invasive species. It's a critical step in supporting local farmers and protecting their livelihoods. Hang Shu and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for watching What's Up Taiwan. Don't forget to visit the TaiwanPlus website and follow our social media. Finally, check out this T-Rex decked out in a festive makeover at London's Natural History Museum. I'm Philip Brossard. Take care, and we'll see you next time.